Up, you'll hear Semper Supra, which you just heard, a new addition to the Armed Forces Medley honoring the Space Force. Ladies and gentlemen, the Armed Forces Medley.
We're the mighty watchful eye, guardians beyond the blue, the invisible front line, war fighters brave and true, boldly reaching into space. There's no limit to our sky, standing guard both night and day. We're the Space Force from on high, beyond the blue, the U.S. Space Force. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the foe. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, soon to meet our thunder. At 'em all, give her the gun, give her the gun. Now down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off on one hell of a course. We live in fame, go down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame and glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, high Coast Guard we are for you. March along, sing our song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off your cadence loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Keep them rolling, that the army goes rolling along, along.
Good morning. I'm Alan Salisbury, West Point class of, get this, 1958. I entered West Point from the great state of New Jersey with Meg and served 30 years in the U.S. Army Signal Corps. September 20th is the National POW-MIA Recognition Day. Our next song honors those Americans who were prisoners of war and the over 1,500 who remain missing in action. This song was scribbled on a piece of toilet paper by United States Air Force Colonel Quincy Collins using ink made from a diarrhea pill while in captivity. President Nixon invited the returning POWs to sing this song at the White House. We are proud to have Colonel Collins' exclusive permission to perform the POW hymn.
Good morning. My name is Michael Steele. I'm a proud member of the West Point class of 1969. I entered West Point from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and served 4 years in the infantry, including as an infantry company commander in Vietnam. In the late 1800s, Catherine Lee Bates wrote a poem called Pike's Peak. Contemporaneously, Samuel Ward wrote music called Materna for a church hymn. Although the two writers never met, the lyrics and music came together in 1910 as America the Beautiful. In 1955, a narration, I Am the Nation, was written by Otto Whitaker, a Virginian, was added to this arrangement. Ladies and gentlemen, America the Beautiful.
America, America, God shed his grace on thee.
I was born July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins, for I offered freedom to the oppressed. I am many things to many people. I am the nation. I am over 300 million living souls and the ghosts of millions who have died for me. I'm Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I'm Washington, Jefferson, and Patrick Henry. I am Lee and Grant and Abe Lincoln. I remember the Alamo, the Maine, and Pearl Harbor. When freedom called, I answered and stayed until it was over there. I left my heroic dead in Flanders Field, on the rock of Corregidor, the bloody hills of Korea, in the jungles of Vietnam, the sands of Iraq, and the mountains of Afghanistan. I am the Brooklyn Bridge, the wheat fields of Kansas, and the granite hills of Vermont. I'm the coal fields of the Virginias and Pennsylvania, the Golden Gate, and the Grand Canyon. I am Independence Hall, the Monitor, and the Merrimack. I am forest, field, mountain, and desert. I'm the quiet villages and the cities that never sleep. I'm the ballad dropped in the box, the roar of a crowd, and the voice of a choir in the cathedral. You see the lights of Christmas in me and hear the strains of Auld Lang Syne as the calendar turns. Yes, I am the nation, and these are the things that I am. I was conceived in freedom, and God willing, in freedom I will spend the rest of my days. May I possess always the integrity, the courage, and the strength to keep myself unshackled, to remain a citadel of freedom and a beacon of strength to the world. This is my wish, my goal, my prayer, 249 years after my birth.
America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea, God shed his grace on thee. We're gone? No, we're not. We're done. We're done.
That's next.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Luz Lovins, and I serve as the Senior Director of Philanthropy for VVMF, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Before we officially begin today's ceremony, we want to take a moment to acknowledge some very special friends because without their support, events like this would not be possible. So the In-Memory Circle of Friends provides financial support that helps sustain the In-Memory program, ensuring that the legacies of Vietnam veterans, like your honorees, live on. One of the meaningful benefits of the Circle of Friends is that even if you are unable to attend the ceremony in person, your honoree will still be part of the ceremony. As we gather to honor and remember, we will read their name, ensuring that they are recognized and included in this meaningful tribute. Your presence will be felt, and your loved one's legacy will be honored alongside all of those that we commemorate today. We are pleased to have some members here with us, and they will have the opportunity to also read their honorees' names. But now I will be reading the names of the In-Memory Circle of Friends who couldn't join us today. Joseph William Escalillo, Jr., Gary Wayne Atchison, Harold Arthur Bailey, Robert John Benezek, Jeffrey Bartley, Robert Albert Beck, Jr., Wayne Carl Berquist, Jr., Michael Burmese, Bruce L. Bezeo, Harry Richard Boring, Albert Earl Boutwell III, Larry Albert Bowers, Carl R. Brooks, Jr., Michael R. Damiano, Robert Allen Davis, John L. Delaney, William R. Dow, John Jenks Dowling, Jr., Daniel Drummond, Kenneth Mark Dumdy, Robert L. Easton, Kenneth Doyle Etherly, Rufus Lee Edward, Thomas James Facer, Edward J. Feely, James D. Fisher, Craig Dwight Ford, Harvey David Gibson, Gregory M. Gonzalez, Leon K. Greiner, Donald Dwight Higgins, William Harrison Hart, Sr., Stephen Lee Hayes, Sr., John Carlin Hollander, Paul Crawford Stancliffe, Dennis Huey, Wilmer Harold Eisenhower, John W. Johnston, Kevin David Kavanaugh, Dennis A. Kelly, Bruce C. Kiefer, John A. Kimmel II, Ronald Kirkland Kingsley, J. Brent Lunga, Charles Rick Lem, Jimmy Dale Lindeman, Charles Joseph Louviere, Chester Henry Lusk, Jr., Charles Madrils, Joe Dean Marlowe, Ronald McCarty, Patrick L. McClear, Harold R. McDonald, Jr., Terry Dean McFeeters, Kimberly Iron Milager, Louis Jean Miller, John Charles Miller, Thomas Henry Moore, Jr., Charles W. Mernon, Jr., III, Dale William Musoff, David Charles Olson, Richard J. Osborne, Ken Osterbahn, Richard Alfred Padilla Sr., Tony Michael Patterson, Daniel M.J. Peltonen, Peter Philip Philhauer, Louis Edward Puckett Jr., Ralph Emerson Reinhardt, Norman Jean Rosendahl, Dennis Clayton Schlittmer, Lauren Patrick Shea, Donald Short, Charles Lee Smith, Keith Allen Smith Sr., George Herbert Snow Jr., Dennis Starr, Alan W. Strout, Cabers Wade Summerlin, Billy M. Thomas, Donald C. Tillish, Glenn Patrick Valuroso, Wayne Gilbert Weldon, James Francis Welter, Richard Allen Whitney, James J. Vlodarchik, Ronald Rowan Wood, Terry Wright, Patrick Wright, Robert Wright. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Knotts. I'm the president and CEO of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. And on behalf of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund staff and all of our volunteers, I wanted to be the first to welcome you to the 2025 In Memory Ceremony. This is Dat. He is one of our long-serving volunteers. He is my personal assistant and also my security detail for today, so he follows me everywhere. Look at that. If you look in your program, you'll see that you were supposed to hear from me a little bit later, but I wanted to address the obvious changes to this year's ceremony. While we're not on the National Mall, we have brought our 3/4 scale replica that we call the Wall That Heals, and replica of our In Memory plaque. As it is in 30 communities around the country every year, wherever we set up the Wall That Heals becomes hallowed ground, a place of honor for our Vietnam veterans. We go out of our way to make the experience at the Wall That Heals as close as possible to the experience of being at the wall on the National Mall. And we're privileged to bring the names home to the communities from where they came. On the National Mall, the wall is the location our country has set aside for Vietnam veterans. At the Wall That Heals, we are in the location each community sets aside to honor their hometown heroes and all other Vietnam veterans. I want you all to remember that 50 years ago, when the Vietnam War ended, it had become unpopular to the point we were a nation divided. Disagreements about the war split families, split communities, and split our country. While it sometimes seems we are a nation divided again today, remember that as Americans, we always have things that bring us together, like our purpose for being here today, to honor our Vietnam veterans, your loved ones. Look around. You've all endured tremendous loss, and we want you to know you are not alone. We have found that many in-memory families feel isolated. Many tell us that back home, they don't know anybody else who has lost their Vietnam veteran, who understands what their veteran went through, who understands what you as family members went through, standing by their side for years and years as they suffered with PTSD or diseases related to Agent Orange. This In Memory program, our In Memory Facebook group, this event, this In Memory ceremony, these often are the first steps for many In Memory families to begin finding support for the days ahead. So look to your right and to your left, make a friend, share email addresses or phone numbers, come together as a community of Vietnam veteran families. Tell the stories of your loved ones. Share your pride in their service and sacrifice. These people with you today, they will get it. They will understand. Instead of focusing on our differences, focus on what brings us together. I want to point out a key distinction. The memorial is called the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, not the Vietnam War Memorial. It never was meant to remember or glorify the war, but rather to honor and remember the veterans who fought it. On the National Mall, the memorial always has been an apolitical zone. And by the same token, we ask that you focus today on our veterans. Step away from the wall if you feel you need to express your frustrations or any political opinions. But here at the wall, join our VVMF staff in conducting this In Memory ceremony and our Father's Day Rose Remembrance tomorrow with the same level of respect and dignity that we always afford our veterans and their families. The location has changed this year, but our commitment is steadfast to always remember and never forget. Thank you. Now, before I introduce the person you really want to hear from, who is our In Memory Program Manager, George Clement, I have to recognize the VVMF staff for the monumental feat they have pulled off here. In the midst of several events to mark the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War, a Memorial Day ceremony, this largest ever In Memory ceremony, and our Father's Day Rose Remembrance tomorrow. That's an awful lot. This very small group of people also pulled off an unscheduled visit of the Wall That Heals. Now, this usually involves a full community, and they have at least 6 months to plan and prepare. Our amazing staff pulled this together in only 6 weeks. We're grateful to the George Washington Masonic National Memorial for allowing us to use their facilities. Cynthia Long recently retired from our staff, and she graciously volunteered to be our primary site coordinator, along with Tim Tates as our Wall That Heals site manager for this week. Heidi Zimmerman, for those that don't know her by sight or by name, you passed her when you came in this morning. She literally has run herself ragged. Really, everyone on our staff has worked to make this a reality. And of course, there is George Clement. George came into his role as program manager in January, well into the busiest time for the program. He brings caring, compassion, common sense, and empathy to the hundreds of families recognizing their loved ones today. He has become an unofficial member of many of your families, and I suspect there's not a single place in the country that he could travel without being invited into the home of an In Memory family. Please show your appreciation for George Clement.
Thank you. Ooh, hi, how are you? Thank you, and welcome, everyone. Today, we honor 774 individuals who who will join the nearly 7,000 veterans who have been inducted into the In Memory Honor Roll. We are so pleased to be here today and have more than 2,000 people in attendance. We thank you for traveling to be with us this weekend to pay tribute to your loved ones. I know many could not be with us today. We are live online, so those families can be a part of this ceremony as well. We will have volunteers read the honorees' names for those families that could not attend. Please know that we're doing our best on the pronunciations. We hope to make you proud. I would like to just take a moment to thank the West Point Alumni Glee Club, who are giving of their time to be here. They provided some music pre-ceremony, and we will hear from them a little bit later. In addition, they always change the script on me at last second, so it's been the theme since January. But I do have a couple of notes that I'm going to shoehorn in here for you, so please bear with me. We noticed out in the sections surrounding the reader sections that there are some tribute certificates out there. If you are holding a tribute certificate and you are not seated in the name reader rows, we will not be calling you from out there. We will be drawing our name readers from these two center sections. Our ushers will be ushering them up to the podium to read their names. So if you're sitting out there and you're still holding a tribute certificate and you need to get that name read today, it's okay, but you're in the wrong spot, and that's all right. We're going to handle this. As the lines begin to form at your pace, if you are seated out there and realize you may have accidentally sat in the wrong spot, please just join the line and make sure that the name is read. We have 774 names to read today, and that is my main goal, my main focus of today, to honor those 774 veterans. I will not forget anybody. I want you all to be up here, and if you happen to be in the wrong seat, it's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll make sure those names are read. We'll get you up here, but please feel free to join the line when you can. In addition, here comes Mr. Sun right on cue. We do have water stations situated around. Also, we have some tents set off to the side. So if for any reason you need to get some shade or grab some water, there are some coolers stationed around the seating area. There's a few more in the gray tent over there. And the one other thing that I wanted to mention is that unfortunately, so many families could not be with us today. And we do have a large number of names to read in their honor for those who couldn't be here to reach that 774. And we have tables stationed on either side where you will find volunteers that will provide you with a frame and a name to read and get you in the line to make sure that those names are read. If anybody feels so available and wants to help, you can join those tables over there. Maybe after you've read your honoree and you want to read another one, you can talk to our volunteers on either side and grab a frame and jump back into the line, and we'll get them all done. Again, we're going to hit 774 today, and that's where we're going to be. Back to the script. A few housekeeping notes before we begin. See how they did that to me? I would ask everyone silence their cell phones for the duration of the ceremony. We know this can be a long ceremony, but we ask that everyone stay and everyone remain seated until all the names are read. We want to give the same respect to the last name read as we do to the first name that is read. Our restrooms are over here to the right. We also, as I mentioned, have a tent for anyone that might need a bit of shade to head over to the right. The shuttle buses will begin as soon as the ceremony ends. They are not running right now. They will begin as soon as the ceremony ends. And we will also continue with tours of the site when the shuttle buses get moving after the ceremony, so you can feel free to join the Wallet Heels staff for a tour up here. There is also public transportation nearby. If anybody prefers to head down into Old Town Alexandria and the Alexandria waterfront, some of the best oysters I've had in Virginia were down there. And if you get down the hill, they have a free trolley that'll take you right into the heart of it. And lastly, if anyone at any time needs any assistance during the ceremony, please reach out to a VVMF staff member or volunteer. We are here to assist you and make this day special. It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, Captain Dennis Faraday, United States Navy, retired. Captain Faraday was commissioned in the United States Navy in 1969 and earned his wings of gold in 1970, designating him a Navy flight officer and radar intercept officer. Beginning in 1972, Captain Faraday flew in F-4 Phantoms on more than 130 combat missions over North and South Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Captain Faraday retired in 2008 with 39 years of service as the last active duty Vietnam combat veteran of the United States Navy. He is a graduate of the Navy Fighter Weapons School, otherwise known as Top Gun. That's right, we have our very own Top Gun here with us today. He has a total of 2,000 hours in Navy fighter aircraft, including 3 years as an F-14 Tomcat flight instructor and 500 aircraft carrier arrested landings. Please welcome Captain Faraday.
Well, I hope some of that stuff is true. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our In Memory program. You're going to hear a lot of that the next couple hours, so enjoy it because we are so happy to have you here because we're going to honor your loved ones, our patriots. Let me begin with a well-deserved thank you for the VVMF staff, which have done a spectacular job during ever-changing times. Thank you, VVMF. It is their efforts for this event that have made possible this extraordinary, moving, and immortal memorial to our Vietnam veterans. That is the backdrop for our ceremony today. The original across the river in Washington, D.C. stands as a beacon for those who served in Vietnam. To begin with our official part of our ceremony, I'd like to welcome our chaplain that will lead us in the invocation today, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Trimble, United States Army.
Good morning. According to your faith tradition, would you bow with me in a word of prayer? Eternal Father, strong to save, we are humbled this morning to be able to call upon your name. I pray that your blessings and presence be a part of our time together as we celebrate this Vietnam in Memory ceremony. As I pray for each one here today, I pray for peace for those who continue to grieve. I ask for you to comfort all who mourn the loss of those that we are here to remember. Father, we are reminded by your word that you will never leave us nor forsake us. And we praise you for the promises we can believe in. Today we stand on the shoulders of giants who paid the ultimate sacrifice and are the heroes of our nation. Their lives will not be forgotten, but rather cherished and remembered as witnessed today. These brave men and women set a high bar for us to reach, and we take a moment to ask for your protection for those who are today serving far away from their homes and families, who are in harm's way. We pray for your protection and that you would keep them from injury so that when they return, we can say to them what needs to be said here as well as today. Welcome home. Father, in your name I pray, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back the West Point Alumni Glee Club, directed by Master Sergeant retired Neil Iwachu. I would ask that the Glee Club come up and join us on the stage, please. For those that are able, I would kindly ask you to please stand while the U.S. Navy Ceremonial Guard of the Military District of Washington presents the colors, and remain standing until the colors are retired.
Color. Hold. Color. Present. On. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color Guard, advance the colors. Now here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance is Ms. Audrey Harris, partner of a 2022 in memory honoree, Anthony Wallace. Audrey, would you please come forward? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. And the West Point Alumni Glee Club was established in the fall of 2007 to carry the rich legacy of singing patriotic and inspirational music, a significant element of the warrior spirit. Membership is limited to West Pointers who enjoy singing and believe in the importance of traditional music in their continued service to the nation. Members average almost 20 years of active duty service, with more than 75% being combat veterans. Their goal is to spread the love of music among warriors and to honor and memorialize veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the West Point Alumni Glee Club singing Mansions of the Lord.
Just divine embrace, eternal light in the mansions of the Lord, where no mothers cry and no children weep. We will stand and guard, though the angels sleep. All through the ages safely keep the mansions of the Lord. The mansions of the Lord.
That was absolutely beautiful. Great job. It is indeed a tremendous honor to stand before you today. This morning we come together to remember our fallen comrades, even as we commemorate the end of the war 50 years ago in 1975. We honor these service members who, as Abraham Lincoln said, gave their last full measure of devotion for our country. And that is why we gather here today, to honor our patriots, your loved ones, our Vietnam veterans. Whatever the disagreements over policy that prevailed during the war in Vietnam, there can never be and must never be any disagreement as to how we treat and commemorate those who served with honor and dignity in that war. They were drawn to a cause, a patriot's cause larger than themselves individually. As President Reagan put it, the veterans of Vietnam were, and I quote, what we can only aspire to be: giving, unselfish, the epitome of human love, to lay down one's life so that others may live. To my generation of veterans, the memorial is hallowed ground, as is the wall that heals here for this ceremony. Sacred to our fallen brothers and sisters, This wall is not only a place, but also a time that we can return to and heal, share memories of each other and our Vietnam experiences. Welcome to this place, this wall, to pay homage to the heroes of a war that ended 50 years ago, but still continues to take Americans from our generation. Each of the service members we will honor here today wore with pride and honor the uniform, which I like to call the cloth of our country. A significant number of these patriots were buried in this cloth of America. When the country called, they knew it was their turn to stand up for America, just as their fathers and grandfathers did so heroically during World Wars I and II and the Korean War. Throughout their lives, these soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen and Coast Guardsmen were proud of their service to the United States and knew their sacrifices were cherished in the hearts of their fellow countrymen. Vietnam service is once more universally recognized as a true badge of pride and courage. Along with their families, they are truly the long-suffering, unsung heroes of the Vietnam War. They bore their wounds with honor and dignity. Their ultimate sacrifices are the same as the 58,281 names on the wall, and the 2.7 million Vietnam veterans whose service eventually will be marked by the in-memory plaque. We salute all who served with them, and we stand with the families who love them today. Thank you. Now, back to housekeeping. What the families and friends of our in-memory honorees are about to do has become a tradition here at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the reading of the names. The in-memory name reading follows the principles set forth back in 1982 when the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated, that we can honor each of our service members personally, yet equally by saying their names. The rank your veteran achieved or the medals they are awarded, they are all important, parts of the story that we encourage you to share these memories on your Veterans Honor Roll page, please. However, it is my hope that you will join us in observing the established principles of the name reading tradition and ensure each veteran is honored equally by limiting your remarks at the podium to your veteran's name, branch of service, and your relationship to him. At this time, we will begin our name reading of in-memory honorees. Please remain in your seats until your row is released by an usher. Once you have read your honoree's name, please return to your seat. As we assemble, you will hear a recording of a special song that recognizes those who served in Vietnam, The Unsung Heroes by Chuck Price. Chuck performed it in person at ceremonies for many, many years until his death. Please start the song.
It's time to sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. Sing it for the ones that didn't make it, and sing it for the ones who lived to tell. Sing it for the doctors and the nurses and the corpsmen who witnessed living hell. We'll sing it for the ones who flew the choppers. Sing it for the ones who flew the jets. Let's make sure that we all remember, 'cause the price they pay is too much to forget. So let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. And when we're through, there will be no doubt. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it loud. Let's all sing a song for the unsung heroes. Let's all stand up tall and sing it.
If that doesn't put a lump in your throat, I don't know what will. It is now my honor to read the very first name for 2025. Charles Bauer, United States Navy.
In memory of Marine Corps Sergeant, my husband.
And my dad, Roy L. Bud Anderson.
On behalf of the family and friends, George B. Price, my friend.
Juan Jesus Lozano, U.S. Navy, my father.
My father, Dale Nolan Fowler, U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of Emmett A. Wilson III, U.S. Army, my dad, my friend, my hero, we miss you every day and love you forever.
Robert John Green, Army, my husband.
In memory of our great-grandpy, and dad.
Boyd Austin Jones, United States Army.
Marshall James Burris, a father and a grandfather, United States Army.
My father, Edward P. McDade, U.S. Army.
Robert Dennis Gentle, Sr., U.S. Army. He's my father, my best friend. He was a beloved husband, beloved brother of 6, and beloved grandfather of 4. Thank you.
In honor of my father and grandfather, Emmanuel Guevara, United States Air Force. Welcome home, veterans, and happy Father's Day, Dad. We love you.
My father, Lloyd Douglas White, United States Army.
In memory of my husband, father to my sister and me,
our grandfather and great-grandfather,
Donald Richard Decker, U.S. Marine Corps.
We are honoring my dad, retired CW3, Robert Thomas Lundwall. My dad, her grandpa. We love you, always miss you.
In memory of my father and his grandfather, Michael Francis Ripberger, U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of my father, U.S. Army, father, husband, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Thank you.
My dad and my uncle, Pilar Cantu Morales, United States Army.
Lyndon W. Matthews, father, brother, United States Army.
Thomas Neil Tucker, my husband,
my father,
Army.
In memory of my father, Stephen Shelley, United States Army.
My husband, David Michael Coates.
My father, 173rd Airborne Brigade, U.S. Army.
Daniel Irvin Anders, U.S. Army, my dad.
And my husband. Thank you for honoring him.
Michael Mastrian, my father, her husband, U.S. Air Force.
My dad, Doug Bachman, United States Marine Corps.
Our dad, John William White, U.S. Army. I found him, found my brother.
In honor of Sergeant Major James R. Collins, mentor and father, United States Army.
My dad.
Joseph L. Sutton, United States Army, my husband.
Joseph Wyan Woodward, my husband.
My grandfather in the United States Marine Corps.
My grandfather was a sergeant major.
In memory of our father, Esteban Cajulis Rodriguez, Jr. We miss you, Dad.
J.B. Roberts, my husband. He was a dad and a stepdad.
A grandfather and a great-grandfather.
My dad, their grandfather, Jack D. Likens Sr., Dust-Off Medic, 236, United States Army.
In honor of our father,
Ronald G. Murado, U.S. Army. We miss you, Dad.
My brother and their uncle, John F. Weisheimer, Marine Corps.
For myself and my first cousin, Corporal James Coleman Tucker, United States Marine Corps.
In memory of John Hagan, uncle and brother, U.S. Army.
In memory of Gary Brackenridge, my cousin, who's also a husband, a father. He was U.S. Army.
In memory of my dad, Willie Leon Smallwood, United States Army.
In memory of Edward R. Cutney, United States Army, my husband.
My dad.
In memory and honor of my husband and my soulmate for 60 years, Dust-Off Medic Peter A. Weiss, United States Army, 1963 to 1968. Happy birthday, sweetheart. 80th birthday and happy Father's Day.
We miss you, Dad. Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Edgar Dean Ireland, United States Army.
Husband, dad.
Grandfather, great-grandfather.
We love you and we miss you.
William E. Whitaker, U.S. Army.
Ronald Lee Flanders, my high school friend and lifetime buddy,
who survived a tornado in a car in 1965 and then joined the Marine Corps and served in Vietnam. Thank you.
In honor of Marcelino Tarula, U.S. Army.
In memory of George Eldridge Enos, Jr., United States Marine Corps, husband and father.
In honor of Abraham Thompson III, U.S. Army.
My husband,
My father,
Corporal John Henry Thomas Lund, United States Marine Corps.
In memory of James E. Vaughn, Jr., U.S. Army.
In memory of my husband, Gary Frederick Schiappa, 2020 honoree, Vietnam, 1965 to 1966, U.S. Navy, USS Berry, 933.
In memory of my husband,
Our father, Pop-Pop, Great Pop-Pop, Corporal Irwin Guyette, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
In memory of our dad and grandfather, Frank McGlinchey, U.S. Army, 1967 to 68. We miss you, Dad.
Stephen Edward Aldridge, U.S. Army, radio operator, son, wife, and Vietnam pen pal.
In memory of Thomas E. Richards, U.S. Army.
In memory of my father, her grandfather,
my husband, Thomas Sweeney,
United States Army.
In memory and in honor of the family of George T. Ruark, United States Marine Corps.
In memory of my husband, Charles Wilford Fanoff, Chuck to all who knew him, Big Chuck to his grandchildren, hospital corpsman aboard the USS Repose, a hospital ship in Vietnam, 1968 to 1969.
In memory of Maurice P. Hetman, United States Marine Corps.
In honor of my father,
and my grandfather, Michael L. Hobbs, U.S. Army, 101st Airborne.
On behalf of the family of Keith A. Mercer, U.S. Navy, in his memory.
In memory of my dad, Paul Harrison LeClaire, U.S. Army.
In memory of Ronald W. Russell, U.S. Army.
In memory of my father, Ellis Holly, U.S. Army.
In memory of Timothy J. Ryan, July 17th, 1946, March 7th, 2018. United States Army, welcome home.
In memory of my daddy
and my grandfather, Quilly McKay Hartzog, U.S. Air Force.
Joining his family in honor of William L. Harity, U.S. Marine Corps. Hoorah.
In honor of my sister-in-law brother, Willip Davenport,
U.S. Army.
In memory of my brother,
my uncle,
Merle Joseph Thomas,
U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Erlo L. Harris, U.S. Army.
Verl I. Miles, Jr., U.S. Navy, brother, sister-in-law, and great-nephew.
In memory of Francis X. Skolin, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of my beloved husband in the U.S. Army, Stuart T. McCullen, Jr., beloved husband, father, and grandfather. We miss and love you so.
In honor of Robert J. Quick, U.S. Marine Corps.
We're honoring my dad,
my husband, John Jim Busso, United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi and welcome home.
In memory of Jimmy H. Elton, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of our dad and Papa.
Our hero, my husband, Clifton B. Cliff Stedham, U.S. Army, 1st Aviation.
In memory of William E. Palmer, U.S. Marine Corps.
Charles Edward Massey, United States Army. Our father, brother, uncle, pawpaw.
On behalf of the family, Gary L. Hinkle, U.S. Air Force.
In honor of my dad, Elmer T. Coons, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, William R. Heimbecker, U.S. Marine Corps.
We're honoring my uncle,
my brother, and representing all the other brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, and children. Michael Marty Martinez, United States Air Force.
In honor of Stephen P. Goliff, U.S. Army.
In honor of my dad, my grandpa, William Lee Crosby, United States Army.
In memory of William E. Chastain, U.S. Marine Corps.
We're honoring Specialist George R. Evans, Jr., United States Army.
Wife.
And
Wife of 51 years.
he was my amazing father, and he was an incredible grandfather.
In honor of Arden E. Anderson, U.S. Army.
On behalf of our entire family, we are here to honor
Bernard Bruce Langen, United States Marine Corps.
In honor of my husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, Robert L. McGath, U.S. Army.
In memory of our papa,
My dad, husband, grandfather, father-in-law, great-grandfather, retired Sergeant First Class James C. Coleman, U.S. Army, served 20 years, and also served with the Echo Recon, 1st of the 5th, 1st L Cavalry in Vietnam.
In honor of my husband,
my father, Gregory Bennett, United States Army.
in honor of our father, Staff Sergeant Lester Kenneth Watts, U.S. Army, retired.
Love you and miss you.
Love you, Dad.
In memory of David Ernest Wolfensberger, my husband, my daddy, United States Navy.
On behalf of the family of Daniel D. Rosinski, United States Air Force.
In honor of Edwin G. Rosado, husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, U.S. Army.
In honor of Michael C. Prock, United States Navy, father, grandfather, my husband.
In memory of my dad, George Thornburg, United States Navy.
In memory of my father and grandfather, Darwin K. Court.
U.S. Marine Corps, my husband, Darwin.
In memory of our grandfather, George Richard Murphy, United States Army.
In honor of my husband, a father,
And our grandpa.
Henry J. DiRemo, U.S. Army.
We are the daughters and widow here in memory of Major Jim Rose, U.S. Army.
In memory of our father,
Michael Francis DePello, Sr., U.S. Air Force.
in memory of John Gordon Vance, U.S. Army, my husband,
Our father, Papa, and great-grandfather.
In memory of Michael K. Beal, U.S. Navy, father, grandfather, and brother.
In honor of my father,
And my father-in-law.
Troy F. Corky Honeycutt, U.S. Navy.
In memory of our dad and Papa to his grandchildren,
Sergeant First Class Thomas Kahaluli, U.S. Army, retired.
In memory of Richard A. Laporte.
Husband, father, grandfather, U.S. Marine Corps.
Our dad, Dwayne Dewey Johnson, United States Army.
In honor of Jackie D. Beasley, U.S. Army.
In memory and honor of my dad.
And my grandfather, Clifton Hubert Davis Jr., also known as Hugh, Corpsman, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family of Robert L. Ludwig, U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of my father.
My grandpa.
My father-in-law, who was actually a father to me.
Galen L. Slater, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Joseph M. Martino, U.S. Army.
In memory of our dad, our papa, and uncle.
And my loving husband, Danny C. Hickman, U.S. Army.
In memory of Thomas L. McPherson, U.S. Navy.
In honor of my uncle, James Orlando McLeod, U.S. Army.
In honor of Gerald D. McIntyre, U.S. Army.
In honor of Donald Bonner Smith, my husband.
Also my father, and also in honor of 2024 member Kevin Kavanaugh, U.S. Army friend.
In honor of Eduardo Teniente, U.S. Army.
My grandfather, Carol W. Chafin, U.S. Army.
In honor of Clyde D. McMillan, U.S. Army.
In honor and memory of a beloved son, husband, father, grandfather, Robert Clinton Dillon, U.S. Army.
In honor of William E. McGee, U.S. Navy.
In honor of the family of Larry Johnston, Sr., U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family of Jack R. McKee, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Michael F. Roth, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, William B. Meads, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, William H. Reichert, U.S. Army, welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Francisco Mendiola, Jr., U.S. Army.
In memory of Kenneth P. Salami, U.S. Army.
In memory of my husband and my father, Ronald Lewis Moss, United States Army.
In memory of James R. Sanders, United States Army.
In memory of Arlen Dean Gates, U.S. Army, beloved husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather.
In honor of John R. Sandhoffner, United States Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, John D. McPherson, Jr., U.S. Navy.
In memory of Arnold R. Sauer, U.S. Air Force.
In loving memory, Bobby M. Merritt.
On behalf of the family, Kenneth A. Shates, U.S. Army.
In honor of Daniel A. Moronk, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Otis R. Schatzer, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
In honor of John C. Mickle, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Timothy J. Ryan, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Douglas R. Acosta, U.S. Army.
In memory and in honor of the family, Charles S. Cullens, U.S. Army.
In memory of Stephen J. Want, U.S. Army husband.
In memory, Vincent J. Daly, U.S. Army.
In memory of Larry Mitchell Link, U.S. Army, survived by wife, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and a sister. Thank you.
In memory of Billy J. Rogers, U.S. Marine Corps, honoring the family.
On behalf of the family of Donald A. Miller, U.S. Army.
In honor of James E. Roper, the U.S. Marine Corps, in memorial of his family.
In honor of my grandpa,
And my dad.
George Arlen Clifford, U.S. Army, Big Red One. We miss you and we love you.
In honor of Severo J.T. Cole, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of our dad, Charles Richard Stutzman, U.S. Army.
In memory of Richard W. Collins, U.S. Coast Guard.
In memory of my dad, Kenneth J. Voidovich, U.S. Marine Corps, daughter, father, and hero.
This beer's for you.
On behalf of the family of Clifford E. Cox, U.S. Army.
In honor of Oswald Wayne Hodges, U.S. Army, my dad.
Proud to honor my husband,
our father, Popo, and brother, Harry P. Wood, Jr., U.S. Air Force.
In loving memory of my father, William L. Roach, loving husband, dad, papa, and friend, 101st Airborne, U.S. Army, and volunteer at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
In honor of my husband, father, and papa.
My father, David J. Phelps, Air Force.
In memory of my father, Valentino Mar Peña, U.S. Army and Purple Heart recipient. Thank you.
On behalf of the family of Jerry E. White, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, Nicholas G. Mitchell, United States Marine Corps.
In memory of my father, my mother's loving husband, Michael David Jalone, U.S. Army.
In memory of our father,
In memory of my husband of 57 years.
David Charles Riley, U.S. Army.
In memory of our dad, a brother to four, a loving husband, a proud grandfather, grateful son, and trusted friend, Thomas Charles Peterson, United States Air Force.
In loving memory of our grandfather,
My father and a loving husband, Benjamin Fonseca, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Oliver B. White, Jr., U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to honor Thomas Miller, U.S. Army.
In memory of my husband, Richard George Kennedy, Special Warfare, United States Navy.
A husband and a father and a grandfather. In memory of my father,
My husband, Dallas J. Horace, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of a father, a brother, a poppy, a husband, Robert Bobby Freeble, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of my husband, father, and papa, my husband, Roy Douglas Babcock, U.S. Marines.
in honor of my husband, Joe Silva, United States Navy. On behalf of the family, Jack E. Mulder, U.S. Navy.
In loving memory of my father, David J. Thomas.
On behalf of the family, Larry Lee Adams, U.S. Army.
In memory of my dad, William Larry Powell, dad.
Husband.
And in memory of our family friends,
Samuel Wade Norton, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Daniel R. Osmond, U.S. Army.
In honor of our father, Joseph E. Sheehan, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, we honor Robert G. Elstock, U.S. Navy.
In memory of our dad, Donald McGraw,
U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Perry Edwin Annette, U.S. Army.
In memory of a husband, a grandfather, and our dad, Danny Jump, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Donald Athern, United States Air Force.
In honor of Luther White Eagle Black Bear, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, George H. Angus, U.S. Army.
In memory of Earl Wilburn, U.S. Army, hero, someone I never had the chance to meet. Thank you.
On behalf of the family, Wellington H. Moy, U.S. Army.
William Joseph Lavuso, our combat brother, 1968-1969. Welcome home.
In loving memory of Jerry D. Benskin, U.S. Navy.
In memory of Stephen Richard Stoddard, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
In honor of Sarah C. Berg, U.S. Army.
In memory of my friend and fellow Vietnam veteran, Joseph Tallarico, U.S. Army.
In honor of Stephen D. Berryhill, on behalf of his family, U.S. Army.
In memory of my friend, blank out, Donald Vincent Schultes, who's a good friend. Excuse me.
On behalf of the family, Joseph J. Moody, Jr., U.S. Army.
In honor of Oliver F. Williams, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Lynn R. Mullett, U.S. Air Force, welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Philip W. Bradford, from one Marine to another, welcome home and Semper Fi, Marine.
On behalf of the family, honoring Gregory M. Mucha, U.S. Army. Hoorah!
On behalf of the family of Glenn J. Willett, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, Richard M. Mundy, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Paul Willoughby III, U.S. Army.
In memory of my husband, his grandfather, 2018 honoree, Larry James Kingsbury, U.S. Army, Vietnam, 71, 72. Love and miss you every day.
On behalf of the family of Donis E. Cohn Sr., United States Marine Corps.
In honor of my father and our papa, David Edward Can, United States Air Force, rest easy.
On behalf of the family of Jack T. Wilson, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, Tommy R. Overton, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Gregory N. Willems, U.S. Marine Corps.
My husband, Richard T. Watkins, Jr., United States Air Force.
My father and grandpa.
On behalf of the family, Michael A. Book, U.S. Air Force.
In memory and honor of my daddy, my hero, Philip E. Deal, U.S. Army, 9th Infantry Division. I love you always.
On behalf of the family and friends of Stephen A. Schultz, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of our loving daddy, Darrell Lee Williamson, U.S. Army, we love and miss you.
Love you, Daddy.
In memory of my daddy, Kerry Gibson Durr, United States Air Force.
In loving memory of my father, Wayne E. Bosdick, U.S. Army.
His bride, his daughter, along with 21 family members here to honor Alfred J. Chip Faneri III, United States Air Force, Main Gate, Saigon.
Staff Sergeant Greg Thomas Clark, United States Marine Corps, 6768.
In loving memory of our dad,
Chester J. Harzuski, United States Army.
In memory of my husband, U.S. Robert Fisher, Army, Quarter Horse, Big Red One.
Honored to introduce my dad, Patrick Huckey, United States Marine Corps, father of 5.
And grandfather of 12, including me.
In loving memory of Ernest J. Hartner III, U.S. Army.
Thomas Frederick Steinfeld Sr., U.S. Army, our dad, husband, grandfather, and great-grandfather. We love you.
In honor of my friend and classmate,
it is my privilege to speak on behalf of Jerome E. Matson, Jerry Matson's family.
U.S. Army.
Sergeant Donald W. Gresham, U.S. Air Force,
My father,
and my husband and best friend.
On behalf of his entire family,
we honor our cousin Eugene Francis Lohman, U.S. Navy Seabees.
In memory of Brian R. Winslow, United States Army.
In memory of my dad, uncle, grandpa, husband, brother, friend, Charles D. Bennett, U.S. Navy.
In loving memory of our father, Richard Rockwood Coker, radio operator, 173rd Airborne Brigade, Vietnam, 1970-1971.
Thank you.
Representing the family of William M. Owens, U.S. Army.
In memory of Morse Ray Bradley, father,
Grandpa, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of Larry D. Reed, U.S. Marine Corps.
In honor of my dad,
and my husband, Philip Gene Johnson, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, Michael H. Boss, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Chester W. Witzak, United States Army.
In honor of the family, Abel Reyes, Jr.
In honor of my dad, Lanny Field Dean, U.S. Navy, great-grandpa too. On behalf of the family of Kenneth E. Betts, U.S. Army.
In memory of my dad and my husband, Jared Eugene Zumhoff, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, I apologize if I mispronounce the name. It is Robert W. Osenjuk, U.S. Marine Corps. Thank you for your service.
William T. Pike, U.S. Army, Mike Cousins' husband.
On behalf of the family of Gary M. Bond, U.S. Army, welcome home. Thank you for your service.
My dad, Kenneth Wayne Parnell, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, Gary L. Mittendorf, U.S. Marine Corps.
in honor of Robert C. Wood, Jr., United States Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, we're honoring Charles W. Borjon, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Roger F. Wood, U.S. Air Force, thank you and welcome home.
The family honors the memory of Joaquin Palesco, Jr., U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
Jasper F. Woody, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, Lyle E. Moore, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Roger P. Worley, U.S. Navy.
In honor of Stephen F. Murray, U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of Anthony Wozniak, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of William M. Lewis, U.S. Army.
In honor of Joseph Wozniak, U.S. Marine Corps.
In honor of my dad and a loving husband, to my mom and proud grandpa, David Rutherford, Army. We love you, Rambo.
On behalf of Richard D. Crook, U.S. Navy, thank you for your service.
On behalf of my husband,
My father.
and Papa to 6, Stephen Wayne Garner, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of David F. Zavardino, U.S. Navy.
In honor of my husband of 71 years, Master Chief Roger House, U.S. Navy.
And my dad.
On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Kenneth J. Zemensik, Sr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of our father, granddad, brother,
And my husband, Patrick Lynn Minner, U.S. Army.
In memory of our hero, Ronald Marion Cruz, my husband.
Of father, our papa, United States Army.
In memory of my dad and Papa up to 7.
Beloved brother and uncle,
Jack Allen Shannabrook.
United States Navy. In honor of my husband
And my father, Michael John Smith Sr., United States Army.
In memory of my dad and the best man that I'll ever know, Daniel Thomas Norton, U.S. Army.
In honor of my husband, Dickie Babson, U.S. Navy, U.S. Army. Loving father and grandfather.
In memory of our papi, Jesus El Spiri Garcia, U.S. Army, Infantry.
In honor of my dad and her husband, Sergeant William Doors, United States Marine Corps.
In honor of our dad, David Lee Bilski, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Douglas C. Robinson, U.S. Air Force.
In honor of my husband and her father, Lauren Corliss Lyman, U.S. Army. My son and I are here to honor and remember dearly his father, my wonderful husband, Alvin G. Rowe, United States Army, combat engineer, 82nd Airborne.
In memory of my husband, Richard M. Fetters, U.S. Navy.
We honor and remember my husband, Stephen Jareggi III, U.S. Army, father, grandfather, and as of a week ago, great-grandfather. Welcome home.
My father, William W. Lucas, U.S. Army.
In memory of Lee Zamora, my husband, also Dad, Grandpa, and great-grandpa, the Air Force.
In honor of our dad, grandfather, and great-grandfather, Billy C. Morton Jr., U.S. Army.
In memory of Winston Durant, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
This is the second youngest volunteer at the Vietnam War. Ton. That's your older brother.
In memory of our daddy,
Terry L. Phillips, United States Navy.
In honor of the family of Kevin B. Rogers, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of James R. Neely, U.S. Navy, on behalf of his family and friends.
In memory of my husband, Leo L. Roderick, U.S. Army. I love you.
In honor of the family of Richard D. Nelson, U.S. Army.
In honor and memory of our father, Donald James Barrett, Sr., Sergeant Major, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, Edward C. Rayburn, U.S. Marine Corps.
For the family of Ronald D. Rowe, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of Ernest R. McDowell, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of educator, husband, father, grandfather, Edward Motsinger, U.S. Navy, USS Sacramento, AOE 1. Go Navy.
In memory of Joseph P. Rainville, U.S. Navy.
In love and memory and honoring of our daddy, Harry Franklin Messer, Sr., U.S. Air Force, Master Sergeant.
On behalf of the family of John F. Quirk, U.S. Army, welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Walter V. Rogers, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, we honor John F. Marine, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of my brother
and my uncle,
James Robert Owens, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, Patrick H. Roche, U.S. Army.
In memory of my husband,
brother-in-law,
Edward Lee Erickson, Army, and for his 3 grandchildren and nieces and nephews. The family honors the memory of Walter R. Maple, U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service.
In memory of Frederick Fritz Alderman, U.S. Army, I'm his proud daughter.
And he was my papa.
In honor of and remembrance of Ronald A. Musk, U.S. Army, thank you for your service and sacrifice.
In honor of Eric L. Robleski, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, James M. Biggs, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of my dad, Kenneth W. Wheeler, U.S. Army.
In honor of Ray G. Patterson, U.S. Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
In loving memory of my husband and Kelly and Tim's father, William Sherrill, U.S. Army Ranger, Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol.
On behalf of the family, Roger T. Barnett, United States Marine Corps.
I'm honored to remember Mac N. Robinson, U.S. Army, superhero.
On behalf of the family, Herbert M. Albert, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of William R. Brown, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Michael Aiken, U.S. Marine Corps, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Mike A. Rockin, U.S. Army.
My dad, James E. Henderson, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family of Ronald G. Morrison, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family of Lawrence D. Peischer, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Ronald F. Dalton, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Abert E. Myers, U.S. Navy.
In honor of her husband, my father, Richard Starkey, U.S. Army.
In loving memory, we honor Robert L. Phillips, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
In memory of Gary D. Bragg, United States Army.
On the behalf of the family, Walter R. Nardale, U.S. Air Force.
In honor of Joseph J. Zulo, United States Army, thank you for your service.
In honor of my father, Robert B. Hillman, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to honor Michael D. Clancy, U.S. Army.
My father, Dr. John Patrick Burns, U.S. Navy.
In honor of Ellis T. Bridges, United States Army.
Father, husband, Clark D. Hazelwood, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Theodore E. Brown, U.S. Army.
In honor of our dad, Daniel C. Filter, U.S. Army.
In memory of William A. Brown, Jr., U.S. Army.
In loving memory of our father,
Robert John Fedor, U.S. Army, forever loved, dearly missed.
On behalf of the family, Larry W. Brown, Sr., U.S. Marine Corps.
In honor of my dad and loving husband, John Leander Schrader, U.S. Army, 101st Airborne. Welcome home, Dad.
We are grateful for the life of my husband,
my daddy,
grandfather, great-grandfather, Reverend Alan Edward Scharschmidt, founding and pastor for 44 years at Blessed Hope Nazarene Church, Phillipsburg, New Jersey, United States Marine Corps, 2nd Century Dog Platoon, Purple Heart with a Star.
On behalf of his widow and his entire family, my uncle Douglas Thomas Bronson, United States Marine Corps.
in memory of my dad, Terry Lynn Hendrickson, loving father, and the best poppy to my two girls. We love you, Dad.
In memory of our grandfather, John Medina Soltero.
Also referred to by family and friends as Johnny Boy, United States Army.
In memory of Russell W. Lures, my husband.
My father and a proud member of the U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of Frank Martinez Ferranda, my daddy.
Our grandpa.
U.S. Army, greatest man I've ever known, and my hero.
The love of my life, Ellsworth Preston Boss, United States Navy, CB.
On behalf of the Gillespie and Hendricks families, we honor James E. Hendricks, U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps.
We're here to honor William Michael Mickey Sutton, U.S. Army, Dad, Grandpa, husband, best friend. Welcome home.
On behalf of the Gillespie and Holcomb families, my husband, Russell T. Holcomb, U.S. Navy, U.S. Army.
In honor of my uncle, Gary R. Shetliff, United States Navy.
On behalf of the family of James D. Nelson, United States Air Force.
In honor of my great-grandfather, Lloyd R. Laycook, United States Air Force.
In memory of my uncle, Alan Bruce Buster McLeod, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Thomas O. Clarita, Jr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, I'm here to honor my dad, Charles Andrew Pelham, Sergeant First Class, United States Army. He was a loving husband, father, grandfather, and friend. And not a day goes by that we don't think of you and miss you, Andy. We love you.
On behalf of the family, Charles L. Clayton, U.S. Army.
In honor of our father, on behalf of our entire family, we're here to honor
Floyd Arthur Spence, U.S. Army.
Green Beret Special Forces and a badass.
In loving memory of our father, husband, grandfather, and great-grandfather.
Gerald D. Fritz, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, Paul E. Ogolinski, U.S. Navy.
In memory of my brother, Gregory Philip Peppers, United States Army.
In memory of James R. Bokelman, U.S. Marine Corps, for his family and friends.
In memory of Thomas Edward Devine, U.S. Navy, beloved father, husband, and grandfather.
On behalf of the family and friends of Harold C. Newby.
In honor of my husband, John Marsh, U.S. Army. This is for you, honey.
Also in loving memory of our daddy and papa to 9 grandchildren. We miss you.
Happy Father's Day, Daddy. We love you.
On behalf of the family and friends of Donald K. Rayner, U.S. Army.
In honor of William M. Copra, U.S. Army.
In memory of William R. Nix, Jr., U.S. Army.
In memory of Lehman Belton Locklear, U.S. Army. He was a husband, dad. His most treasured was being a dada to 4 and a great dada to 3.
On behalf of his family and in memory of Wilbert Noel, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Francis P. Campbell, U.S. Air Force, welcome home.
On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Dennis D. Nolan, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Morris L. Broom, U.S. Army, thank you and welcome home.
In memory of Thomas L. Andrews, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Richard L. Butterfield, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to honor William H. Pike, Jr., U.S. Army. Welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Edwin Ballard Carter III, welcome home.
On behalf of the family, we honor Michael J. Pate, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Philip Bolgash, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, Ronald Levely, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Ronald L. Zimmer, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, Michael L. Peloton, U.S. Navy.
On the behalf of the family of Gary B. Brown, U.S. Navy.
Honoring the memory of William P. Olson, U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service.
In memory of Donald J. Buelt, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Leonard W. Perky, U.S. Army. On behalf of the family, William E. Campbell, Jr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Thomas J. Pesek, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family and friends of Richard W. Card, U.S. Air Force, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Glenn A. Peterson,
U.S. Army.
thank you for your service.
In memory of Jose G. Cardenas, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Roger H. Playman, United States Marine Corps.
In memory of my husband, Kenneth G. Frenette, U.S. Army, loving father, grandfather, brother.
And the best brother-in-law in the world. I love y'all.
On behalf of the family of Philip D. Presnell, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
In memory of Purple Heart with an Oak Leaf Cluster and Silver Star recipient, U.S. Army 199th Infantry Division, a father, a husband, a brother, and my uncle, Alan R. Oakes.
On behalf of the family of James H. Newman, United States Air Force.
On behalf of the family of Jeffrey W. Carlson, United States Army.
On behalf of the family,
Ronald L. Bubian, U.S. Navy.
In honor of Jesse S. Carver, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, James M. Payton, U.S. Army.
In memory of my husband, John Henry Ford III, U.S. Navy.
Our father, William Colville, United States Marine Corps.
My dad, my hero, Corydon C. Hardy, United States Navy.
In memory of my grandfather and her father, Ronald Dan Ducey, U.S. Army.
In honor of my daddy-o, Dallas Michael Abbott, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his wife and their entire family, we honor Horace A. Lyon, U.S. Navy. Welcome home, and thank you for your service. And we also honor my husband.
And my grandfather, a father to me, Sergeant Robert W. Burt, U.S. Army 101st Airborne Division, National Guard and Reserves, 2022 honoree.
In memory of my husband, Anthony P. Dominic, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of our brother, father, and uncle, Peter Joseph Son, U.S. Army.
In memory of our father, husband, and grandfather, Earl W. Diggs, U.S. Army.
In honor and memory of Andrew M. DeVille, our father, husband to Debbie.
And to 3 wonderful grandchildren.
On behalf of the family of David R. Carone, U.S. Air Force, we thank you.
On behalf of the family, Howard D. Phillips, U.S. Air Force, thank you for your service.
I'm here in memory of my husband, father, great-grandfather, brother, and a great neighbor, Ralph Anthony Tony Shin, United States Army.
In memory of our father, Sam H. Pelfrey, Jr.
Beloved husband, father, and grandfather, U.S. Marine Corps.
We love you, Dad, and miss you every day.
On behalf of the family, we honor Gregory P. Karuna, United States Air Force.
On behalf of my mom, brothers, sisters, family, and friends who couldn't be here, we honor my father, Peter Spiek, Jr.
U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, with loving memory and in honor, Robert A. Peltek, my husband,
My brother. My father.
U.S. Army, a true hero to everybody. Thank you.
In memory of Denny Walking, U.S. Army, father, grandfather, and husband.
In memory of Lloyd Grant Chambers, Sr., United States Navy.
In honor of our brother, Jerry Gam, United States Army.
In loving memory of my dad, Alfred C. Schuman, U.S. Army, 173rd Airborne.
My husband of 45 years.
In loving memory of my husband,
Our father and grandfather,
Mark K. Luzier,
U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family of Carl D. Chapman, Sr., U.S. Navy.
In honor of my husband,
Clarence I. Heyer, Jr., my father, grandfather, great-grandfather, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of great friend and sidekick, Sergeant Samuel Phillips, Jr., U.S. Army.
on behalf of his wife, Patty, who couldn't be here, my best friend.
I have a cold one for you tonight, Sam.
In behalf of the family of my husband, Vernon Lee Sellers, United States Army, 1st Cavalry.
On behalf of the family,
Dennis D. Jamdella, U.S. Army.
In memory of my dad, Anthony Zorbal, United States Marine Corps.
In memory of my dad, Bob Baxter.
My grandpa, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, David A. Preston, U.S. Marine Corps.
In loving memory of my husband of 53 years.
My best buddy, my daddy.
And daddy to Vanessa and James and Papa, to Ian, Molly, and Victoria, our hero, James Franklin Roberts, Jr., United States Army.
In memory of Larry W. Lamberth, U.S. Navy.
Ernest J. Chenard, Jr., my father, United States Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
On behalf of the family and friends of Ashley L. Powers, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Jeffrey L. Wangstad, United States Army.
On behalf of the family and friends of Stephen P. Lementia, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Louis A. Wall, U.S. Navy.
In honor of Randolph C. Porter, U.S. Army.
In honor of the family of Donnie L. Sexton, Sr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Thomas M. Weed, United States Air Force.
On behalf of the family, James R. Truelove, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Roger L. Walker Sr., United States Navy.
George Baker Price, United States Army, my beloved husband, brother, father, grandfather, great-grandfather.
On behalf of the family and friends of Billy W. Todd, United States Army.
On behalf of the family,
Darrell Waddell, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Thomas D. Unger, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, Stephen A. Shoma, Sr., U.S. Air Force. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Ellen R. Way, U.S. Army.
On behalf of James Gordon Shaw, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of Robert Rolland West, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Larry A. Shoemaker, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Daniel E. West, U.S. Air Force.
Robin Charles Hall, known to most as Bird, love of my life, husband, Army, amazing uncle, passed 14 years ago today.
On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Antonio Alleman, U.S. Army.
In loving memory and honor of my mom's husband, my stepdad, grandfather, great-grandfather, and family, James Russell Pitchford, United States Army. We miss you dearly, Papa Jam, and are forever grateful for your service and your sacrifice.
On behalf of the family, I would like to honor Larry L. Andrews, U.S. Army. Welcome home. Thank you for your service.
In honor of my dad, granddad, loving wife, Dewey T. Clayton, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Andrew W. Bailey, U.S. Army.
In memory of our uncle, Charles Brown,
U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Rodney A. Presnell, U.S. Army.
In honor of our hero, my dad, George Walter Mitchell, Jr., U.S. Army.
Honoring the memory of Glenn R. Price, U.S. Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
Test, test.
Just kidding. And in memory of my grandfather,
and my father,
my hero, America's hero, Purple Heart recipient, Staff Sergeant Desmond E. Wilkerson, U.S. Army.
thank you for your services.
In loving memory and in honor of an amazing husband, father, grandfather, and friend, my father, Kevin Richard Fallon, United States Marine Corps. We miss you, Dad, and we love you to the moon and back. Semper Fi.
In memory of our father and loving husband, Master Sergeant Gerhard Walter Albrecht, United States Air Force.
In memory of Daniel C. Olson, U.S. Marine Corps.
In honor of our family's husband, my dad, granddad, and great-granddad,
And my amazing big bro,
David
R. Coy, United States Army.
In honor of my husband, Gary D. Arnold, United States Air Force. He was a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather.
In loving memory of my husband, father, and pop-pop, and other family members.
We honor Sergeant First Class Ernest Poole, 173rd Airborne, U.S. Army. Airborne. Airborne.
In memory of Raymond A. Sasaki, United States Navy, loving husband, father, grandfather, son, brother, and uncle.
In honor of my husband,
Our Father,
David Lee Dudley, United States Army.
Our dad, Ralph I. Arnold, United States Marine Corps.
In loving memory of my father, his grandfather, George W. Becker, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, Dad. We love you.
In memory of our dad, Mike Milligan, U.S. Army.
In memory of my father, Craig W. Finley, loving father, husband, and grandfather, U.S. Army.
In memory of our dad,
Sergeant Ricky D. Stevens, United States Marine Corps, two-time Purple Heart recipient. From one jarhead to another, Semper Fidelis, Dad.
I'm proud to honor my loving husband, Kimberly Newhouse.
and my father, U.S. Navy.
We're here in honor of a beloved son, brother, grandfather, and our father, William John Flynn, Jr., U.S. Army.
In honor of my husband, my brother, Father Papa, William Virgil Henderson, Jr.,
United States Marine Corps.
In honor of my husband of 41 years and beloved by his entire family, Ronald Edward Senecal, Army.
In loving memory of my father, beloved grandfather, brother, and uncle.
My husband, Thomas Joseph Zazuha, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the Kuiper family, I'd like to honor my father, David Hawley Kuiper, United States Army, 4th Infantry Division, Combat Engineers.
In memory of George Richard Briggs, United States Army.
Our Father.
In memory of Marvin York, husband, father, grandpa, Spec 5 U.S. Army Aviation Electronics, 1969 through 1968 through 1969.
I'm proud to be the husband.
My dad.
My dad, too.
My dad and a loving papa of 23 grandchildren and 3 grandbabies.
Great-grandbabies. Great-great-grandbabies.
Sergeant Robert Howard Pine, United States Army. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice. We love and miss you every day.
My husband, Carrie L. Nance, U.S. Army, father and grandfather.
In honor of my grandfather,
And my husband,
Wilfred Bill Kinn, 98 Dustoff, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of my dad, a great-grandfather,
U.S. Army.
uncle, and brother. Thank you.
In memory honoree, Ronald Durnt, loving husband and stepfather, United States Army.
In memory of the family of William L. Prestridge, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
We are here on this hot day to honor my beloved husband, father, and
My
brother.
dad.
Yes, Captain Henry Lazaro, who left his sister 67 years ago to be a United States Marine in Vietnam. Rest in peace, Captain Lazaro.
John R. Lawler, United States Navy. I read his name on behalf of the family. Thank you.
In honor and memory of our loving father, beloved grandfather, Daniel R. Furtick.
United States Army.
On behalf of the family, Stanley T. Larson, U.S. Marine Corps, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to honor Robert E. Jolly, U.S. Army.
In honor of a hero, Michael A. DeBonis, U.S. Army.
My father, Bing M. Long, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, we honor Stephen Davis, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service. Welcome home.
On behalf of my family back in Texas, we honor Isidro Reina, U.S. Army. Welcome home, soldier, and happy birthday.
On behalf of Louis F. Decker, U.S. Army.
In memory of my family's hero, my father, my mother's soulmate of 50 years, Sergeant Stephen Samuel Caparco, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Louis E. Licata, Jr., U.S. Navy, thank you for your service.
In memory of my husband, Leslie Kowalski, United States Army.
Loving father, father-in-law, and grandfather, may you rest in peace.
In remembrance of Robert J. Simmons, Sr., U.S. Navy.
In memory of Dana L. Rich,
U.S. Army, 34th Scout Dog Platoon.
In memory of my beloved husband, Roger B. Boykin, devoted father and uncle and forever grandpa.
my dad, Dennistown, U.S. Navy.
On our 51st anniversary, I honor my husband.
And my dad, Paul X. Hardman, U.S. Navy, Seabees.
In honor of my grandfather, Kenneth Forrest Lang, also known as Scott Lang to his loved ones, United States Air Force. Thank you so much for your service.
For my friend, honoring her father, Jesus Hernandez, Jr.
In loving memory of my husband of 52 years.
And proud grandfather of 6 and father of 4.
Joseph M. Hardy, United States Air Force. And
thank you for your service.
I love you, hubby, and miss you so much.
Love you, Dad.
In honor of Robert Keith Holston, Sr., father, husband, grandfather, U.S. Navy, 1966-1970.
Today and every day, we honor the husband to my mama for 50 years, a wonderful daddy to me and my brother.
Pawpaw to me and my brother. John M. Jefferson, United States Marine Corps.
In honor of my loving husband, John Randall Randy Wright.
And my dad, U.S. Army.
In memory
I
of
miss you,
my-
babe.
I'm sorry. In memory of my husband, Joseph John Rona, United States Navy.
In honor of our father, Frederick Edmund Gesser, United States Air Force.
In honor of my papa, Jack W. Broering, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of my family, in honor of my father, William Christensen, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of my father, her granddaddy and husband, Charles William McIntyre Jr.
United States Air Force.
And 2023, honoring my father-in-law, her grandpa, father,
United States Navy.
Michael Paul Murphy. Thank you.
Honoring Mark Hinkle, U.S. Army. Loving husband, father-in-law, father, grandfather.
On behalf of our entire family, we honor
my husband and best friend.
and our father, Frank E. Bogret III.
United States Air Force, forever in our hearts.
In honor of her husband, my father,
and my dad, Francis O'Keefe, United States Air Force.
In honor of my father, husband, grandfather, Vietnam, 1966-67, 101st Airborne Army, Purple Heart recipient Dale Allen Varand, eternally healed 4 years ago today.
In memory of our father, 48 years husband to our mother, and pa to 7 grandchildren, Benjamin Edward Dew II.
United States Marine Corps.
My son and I are here to honor my father, his grandfather. Proud to serve Sergeant Miguel Antonio Sanchez Sr., recipient of 3 Purple Hearts, United States Marine Corps.
In loving memory of my father,
Our grandfather.
Edmund J. Miranda Jr.
U.S. Army. Happy Father's Day. We love and miss you.
Love you.
In loving memory of our grandpa.
And our father, Jonathan
Wiley, Command Sergeant Major, 82nd Airborne, United States Army.
In loving memory of my husband, a beloved father and grandfather, Stanley Wayne Roan.
The United States Navy.
In honor of my hero, proud daughter of Vietnam veteran James Edward Hunt, U.S. Army.
My father.
Rest
Howard-
easy, Sarge. Your watch is over.
My father, Howard Bruce Manning, U.S. Navy.
In honor of my brother, William Mack McHugh, United States Air Force, Marine Corps, Army. Love you.
In memory of my loving husband and father and grandfather to 13.
Mine and my 9 siblings, father, Alan J. Butch Maitland.
Celebrating my daddy,
our grandpa,
my mother and my sister honor Robert Leon Staten, United States Army.
Honoring our father, William O. Brown, Army.
My father, Donnie Mitchum, United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi, Dad.
My father, Ernest Ward, U.S. Army.
and loving memory of my husband, John Crandall, a proud member of the U.S. Navy.
In memory of our dad, Gary R. Potter, U.S. Navy.
In memory of my dad,
My husband, Jim Cregan, U.S. Army.
we miss you.
On behalf of the family, in memory of a wonderful husband, stepfather who is more like a father, from Delta Troop 34 Cav, United States Army, taken far too soon, Paul Francis Walsh.
On behalf of our mom and the entire family back home, we're here to honor our hero and dad, Timothy P. Cummings, USN retired Swift Boats 3 tours.
American Badass.
In loving memory of my grandpa.
And my dad, Purple Heart recipient, Daniel Peltonen. Happy Father's Day, Dad, United States Marine Corps.
We are here to honor a son, a brother, an uncle,
a father, and a Pepe to August and Casey.
and my husband and my hero, retired Chief Roger N. Carrier, United States Navy. Finally, you're welcome home, sweetheart.
And we love you.
In loving memory of my husband
and my dad, and loving grandpa to 4, Thomas R. Keith, U.S. Marine Corps.
I hope I can do this. This is in honor of my loving husband, James Allen Tooney.
Dad, stepdad, granddad, friend of many. 514th Company, Signal Company, United States Army. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. Go Army.
Thank you. In loving honor and memory of our father, her husband, a great grandfather, and very best friend anybody could ever have.
Gordon C. Moan, U.S. Marine Corps.
In loving memory of my dad, her husband, and a Purple Heart recipient, Walter F. Frank Robinson, Marine Corps.
On behalf of our family, my dad, and their pop-pop, Joseph Mastriani, U.S. Army.
I want to honor my husband and what I call him always my very best friend,
our treasured friend and family,
Robert F. Baum, United States Air Force.
In memory of our dad and grandfather, Stephen C. Scott, U.S. Army.
From our entire family, and we do this to honor our father and with great love.
Dale Leroy Adams, U.S. Army.
In honor of my husband,
Dad, Granddad, Great-Granddad, Charlie Spites,
299th Engineering Combat Medic, United States Army.
On behalf of Sydney, in honor of John Carlin Hollander, U.S. Army. Paul Crawford Stancliffe, U.S. Navy.
In honor and memory of my father, beloved grandfather, father-in-law, uncle, and great-grandfather, Danny Hart Vess, United States Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
In honor of my brother, Ralph S. Bossick,
United States Army.
in honor of our father, who was also a husband, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, and an avid fisherman who taught us to never take a banana on a boat.
Navy veteran Larry Stephen Wilcox.
In honor of my dad,
and my husband,
Thomas Patrick Sheridan, 101st Airborne, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of my husband,
our hero, my dad, Papa to my babies, Michael Kent Smith,
U.S. Army.
On behalf of my family, I honor my cousin, Judy Lynn Dennis,
U.S. Army nurse.
one of the women who served.
In loving memory of my husband, Ross D. Henderson, loving dad, grandfather, and brother, U.S. Navy.
In loving memory of my dad, mi papá, loving husband to my mom, Mary Lou Salazar, grandpa, and from the family that couldn't be here, Crystal, Shanti, Adrian, Daniel. Raul C. Salazar,
who protected and provided for us until the end, U.S. Navy.
In loving memory of my husband,
Leroy Johnson,
U.S. Army, a father, a papa, and a great grandfather. Our legend.
love you.
From the proud friends and family, we honor Gerald R. Cosart, U.S. Army.
In honor of Dave O'Neill, a loving husband and father, U.S. Army, we will love you forever, and you will forever be our hero, Dave. Happy Father's Day.
In loving memory of Jeffrey Dean Stout,
our father,
U.S. Army.
Hooah!
We miss you, Dad.
We're here to honor our father, grandfather, great-grandfather, brother, loving husband, Edwin Charles Philsell, United States Army.
In honor of a brother, an uncle, and a great-uncle, John A. Barrett, United States Navy, Seabees.
My father, William W. Sugarts III, U.S. Army.
In honor of our father and on behalf of my brothers, Ernest L. Hall, United States Army, retired.
In memory of my husband and forever my riding partner, David William Casey, Air Force.
In loving memory and honor of our father, Kenneth R. Walker, U.S. Navy Corpsman.
In memory of Wayne A. Schultz, U.S. Marine Corps, thank you for your service.
Our father and grandfather and husband, Daniel James Akins, United States Army tunnel rat.
In loving memory of Samuel J. Messina Jr., my grandfather.
My husband,
My father, U.S. Air Force. We will love you forever, Dad.
In memory of my husband,
father of 4, grandfather, great-grandfather, uncle, and brother.
John L. Steer, U.S. Army, 173rd Airborne Infantry, Silver Star, Purple Heart recipient.
On behalf of the family and friends of William C. Shaw, U.S. Air Force.
In honor of our uncle, Michael Oliver Drake, United States Army Corpsman.
In memory of Walter J. Farrell, U.S. Army, my beloved husband, Purple Heart recipient.
He was a son, a brother, my father,
And my papa.
In honor of my father, Ray Lee Harrison Jr., United States Marine Corps and Coast Guard.
In memory of my grandfather, Elvin Bunton.
And my dad, U.S. Army.
in memory of my brother, Richard A. Roth, United States Army. Thank you.
In memory of my husband for 52 years, Albert D. Thibodeau, U.S. Marine Corps.
Loving father, godfather, uncle, friend.
In memory of Ernest M. Brown, Jr., retired Marine Corps, father to a retired Marine who served in Desert Storm and Iraq.
Hoorah.
On behalf of the family, we honor Dennis R. Shea, United States Marine Corps.
My papa, John Stephen Rose III, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family of Joseph T. Shaw, United States Army.
On behalf of the entire Byrne family, I honor my uncle, Denny Byrne, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, we honor Paul L. Schaefer, Jr., United States Air Force.
In loving memory of my husband, their dad, and grandpa, Alfred Lee Wells, United States Marines.
In memory of a loving husband, father, grandfather, and brother, Michael H. Nolf, United States Army.
On behalf of my sisters and our families, I'm proud to be here today to honor my dad, Michael G. Larson, U.S. Marine Corps.
In honor of my father, Master Sergeant Retired, United States Air Force, Terry James Gauss, Air Force, Vietnam, 69-1970.
In memory of my father, a 2024 inductee, John Richard So, United States Army. Love you, Pop.
In memory of my dad, my hero, First Sergeant Roy Alvin Dickerson, U.S. Army. Heroes never die.
My soulmate, 101st Airborne, Gerard W. Otto. He was a father. He has 2 grandsons and 2 great-granddaughters. I love you forever.
Alongside my mother and his loving wife, we proudly honor my father, Gary Russell Levesque, United States Air Force. On behalf of the family and friends of Anthony J. Wallace, he was a U.S. Army and a proud volunteer, yellow hat at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
On behalf of my brother and I, we honor my dad and
My father-in-law.
Dennis Paul Weston, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of Alvin C. Knowles, U.S. Army. And I would like to say, in memory of my husband and father, George Herbert Snow, Jr.
On behalf of my family, my husband, Lawrence R. Lee, United States Marine Corps.
My husband, James Patrick Ellis, Sr., U.S. Army, MP, 1969.
In honor of my husband, Ronald L. Wong.
United States Marine Corps. Hoorah!
In honor of the so-called adult in our 52 years of marriage, Anthony Edgar Oswald, 6 years Marine Corps, 4 years Army, went into the Navy, but cancer took him out. From your protesting wife, thank you.
In honor of my husband, Wesley J. Wainwright, U.S. Marine Corps.
Loving husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. 2023 honoree, Sergeant Major Ernst Henry Pohl, Sr. Rest easy, Dad. We'll take it from here. Always remembered, never forgotten.
In honor of my husband, Stephen G. Goggle, U.S. Marine Corps.
My living husband, Michael Dale Anderson, was an honoree in 2019, served in the Army in Vietnam, 1970, the whole year.
On behalf of the family and friends of Edward W. Short, U.S. Army.
My husband, Staff Sergeant John Frank Parisi, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, 1966 to 1967.
I planned on spending the rest of my life with you. Thank you for spending the rest of your life with me.
On behalf of the family of Michael L. Gamble, U.S. Army.
My brother, Corporal Herman Downs, Vietnam, 66, 1967. Peace be still, brother. Bye.
On behalf of the family, friends, and comrades of Donald E. Blake, U.S. Army.
In honor of my uncle, a brother, a loving husband, and a proud dad, Michael F. Sheridan, U.S. Army.
In honor of John R. Beckermeyer, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps, thank you for your service.
A 2022 honoree in loving memory of my husband,
My dad and my grandpa.
Richard Lee Bruce, and also a 2024 honoree was my brother,
Ernest Pellico, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, we honor Charles E. Sipley, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, we honor Joseph V. Quattrochi, U.S. Navy. Welcome home.
On behalf of the family, we honor Edward C. Rayburn, United States Marine Corps. Now I would like to honor my family. My father, Sergeant First Class Robert M. Wright, United States Army, Green Beret, Bronze Star 2017 honoree. My brother, Spec 4 Terry Robert Wright, 82nd Airborne U.S. Army, 2019 honoree. My other brother, Sergeant Patrick Lee Wright, United States Army, 101st ASA, 2014.
Excellent, excellent. On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Barry D. Peltier, U.S. Army.
Honoring the memory of Charles Ayers, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Michael P. McManus, U.S. Air Force. On behalf of the family of Clifford A. Banks, U.S. Marine Corps, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Peter Vasicolodi, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Calvin G. Banks, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of Bobby G. Herndon, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Jeffrey Bartley, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service and welcome home.
On behalf of his family, Burdell Sturgis, Jr., U.S. Army.
In honor of a hero, Jerry Barker, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Cristito Dioganco, Jr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family and friends, Michael J. Ballard.
On behalf of his family, Richard E. Stone, Jr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, David W. Finley, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
In memory of Ronald R. Stewart, United States Air Force.
On behalf of his family, Douglas L. Feeks, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, Malcolm S. Charles, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family and friends, Robert J. Finn, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, Kenneth J. Cheslack, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family, Elwood R. Bangry, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Thomas J. Chiras, U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of Dwayne B. Ford, U.S. Navy, thank you for your service.
In memory of Ronald Stern, United States Marine Corps, thank you for your service. In memory of Dwayne G. Flantz, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family and in honor of his service, Stephen L. Swank, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Richard M. Fowler, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, James N. Taylor, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Thomas F. McCormick, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, Eli D. Spruill, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, Chester M. McCoy, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Martin W. Swanson, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family and friends of Charles R. Pittanaro, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Stephen J. Stokowski, U.S. Marine Corps. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of James E. McDermott, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Thomas L. Stedman, Jr., U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of his family, Joseph A. Olinsky, Jr., Army.
On behalf of the family, Arthur Stevens, Jr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, David M. Sivak, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Lino L. Garcia, thank you for your service.
In loving memory, and on behalf of his family, Frederick L. Slagle, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Richard R. Garris, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Stephen F. Buonat, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Earl J. Garska, U.S. Air Force, welcome home and thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Danny R. Price, Sr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Jesus Garza, Jr., U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family of Malcolm E. Smith, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of Lawrence P. Gaudino, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family and friends of Gary W. Schlumpf, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Charles M. Gentry, United States Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Franklin J. Smith III, United States Navy.
On behalf of the family of Roberto Gonzalez, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Lawrence E. Smith III, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Richard G. Godwin, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Richard C. Lieber, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Terrell L. Hare, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Albert F. Leister, Jr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of David J. Heim, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Francis P. Logan, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family of Robert E. Getzowich, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, we honor Robert J. Long, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of David L. Heckman, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family of Peter J. Capaccia, United States Army, and in memory of my husband from last year, 2024, U.S. Army, Capers Wade Summerlin.
On behalf of the family of James A. Heckler, Sr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Ronald G. Smoot, U.S. Army.
In memory of Jerry R. Heyman, U.S. Marine Corps.
In memory of Michael Snowden, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Lorimer W. Hay Chapman, U.S. Air Force.
In memory of Philip A. DeCook, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Orville D. Hawkins, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Lawrence A. Sykes, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of Randall F. Gibson, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family and friends, Joseph R. Sweeney, U.S. Army, you are not forgotten. Thank you.
On behalf of the family, Robert S. Hartless, U.S. Air Force.
In honor of Louis J. DeMarco, U.S. Marine Corps. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, I'd like to honor Crispin Gonzalez, U.S. Marine Corps. Semper Fi, welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, we honor Kenneth A. Souls, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, we honor John O. Glasshoff, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Martin T. Evans, we honor him, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, Gregory G. Gore, United States Air Force.
Honoring the memory and service of Bobby G. Dupree, U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Bruce H. Goulet, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, Robert L. Edler, United States Army.
In honor of Michael L. Grimm, U.S. Army. In honor of the loved ones, on behalf of the loved ones, we honor Daniel Soliday, U.S. Army. Welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Gerald J. Grack, U.S. Army, welcome home. Thank you for your service.
In memory of a hero, Nicholas F. Domenico, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Anthony T. Grasso, U.S. Army, welcome home.
On behalf of the family, Alan L. Dodge, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Gerald R. Gimmer, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, George I. Donovan, U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service.
On the behalf of his family, we honor Kenneth L. Giswhite, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Paul F. Lezard, U.S. Marine. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Barry A. Gustin, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of his family, we would like to honor Thomas F. Driscoll, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Robert Guthrie, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, James L. Dowling.
U.S. Army.
We thank you for your service.
In memory of James F. Hall, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, Carlisle M. Duckworth, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Klaus P. Hall, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, Joseph Dunn, U.S. Army. Nathaniel Edwards, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family and friends, I honor Terrence P. Haggerty, U.S. Army.
In loving memory of Roger D. Long, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, James S. Handlin, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, Eugene Lichtai, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, David F. Hansen, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, John T. Lynch, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of his family, we honor Jerome R. Hackett, United States Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Conrad D. Freeberger, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family, we honor Napoleon Harris, U.S. Marine Corps.
In loving memory, on behalf of his family, Richard T. Fowler, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, we honor Stephen Haber, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, we honor John T. Maltus, United States Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, we honor Tommy E. Harris, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, we honor Edward W. Luzak, Jr., U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, we honor Robert L. Hartwell, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, we honor James C. Mannix, United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, James M. Gill, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family and friends, Clyde W. Lyon, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, Richard J. Nauer, Jr., U.S. Army.
It is my pleasure, on behalf of his family, to honor William A. Hendrickson, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Wesley M. Keith, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, for David C. Matthews, United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Kenneth H. Kelly, U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service.
In honor of Richard D. Duncan, U.S. Army.
On the behalf of his family, Hercules Johnson, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his friends and family, Elmer E. Dunlap, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of his family, in honor of James F. King, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family, Robert L. Dent, United States Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, James R. Jennings, U.S. Marine Corps, thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family and friends, for James M. McCormick, United States Army.
On behalf of his family, Daniel P. Kiley, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, Kenneth Ellis, United States Army.
On behalf of Bernard L. Kibling, U.S. Air Force, thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Kelly M. English, United States Army.
On behalf of the family of Thomas N. Kiergaard, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family of Richard C. Fridley, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Thomas K. Kearns, United States Navy.
On behalf of the family, we honor Robert G. Fettis, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the friends and family of Richard M. Girolaman, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, we honor Jack L. Gallardo, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, we honor Wilford D. Jordan, United States Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, we honor Warren G.H. Folks, Jr., U.S. Navy. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, we honored Leonard E. Johnson, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, we honor Bruce L. Erickson, U.S. Navy, and in memory of my dad, Donald Delmont, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Jerry L. Jansen, U.S. Army.
In honor of Frederick J. Farabee, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of Dorian R. Inwood, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, Frank J. Murata, United States Army.
We thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family and friends of Bruce R. Hussey, U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of the family, Frank W. Spate, U.S. Army.
In memory of Alonzo V. Infinger, U.S. Army.
For the family and friends in memory of Thomas E. McCully, U.S. Army.
Thank you for your service.
You are not forgotten, sir.
On behalf of the family of Joseph E. Infinger, United States Marine Corps.
In honor of Michael G. Mazurik, U.S. Army, thank you for your service.
In honor of Roy D. Hutchins, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, we honor Roger A. Marquis, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his family, we honor Roger W. Hauk, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, we honor John A. Ingraff, United States Navy.
On behalf of his family, we honor Roger F. Hauk, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Kenneth M. Dumdy, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family, we honor George D. Horner, U.S. Army.
We honor Leon R. Christiana, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, I would like to honor Samuel L. Holodnik, U.S. Army. Welcome home. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family, we honor John A. Suchek, United States Army.
On behalf of his family and friends, I'd like to honor Jack N. Hun of the U.S. Navy.
On behalf of his family, we honor Anthony R. Fia,
USA Army.
On behalf of his family, Robert E. Kring, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of Gregory Freeler, U.S. Army, on behalf of his family.
On behalf of the family of Sherman N. Holloway Sr., U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family of David Henyon, United States Marine Corps.
On behalf of the family, we honor Alan J. Hobart, United States Army. Thank you for your service.
In memory of Ronald G. Henson, U.S. Navy.
On behalf of the family, we honor Ballard F. Hibbs, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of his family, Gregory A. Creha, U.S. Army.
On behalf of the family, we honor Willie L. Smallwood, U.S. Army. Thank you for your service and welcome home.
On behalf of the family,
Gerald D. Kaiser,
U.S. Army. Thank you for your service.
On behalf of the family of Peary L. Hipkins, U.S. Army, welcome home.
On behalf of the family, John T. Kaczynski, thank you for your service. U.S. Navy, sorry.
On behalf of his family, I'd like to honor Jerry L. Heron, U.S. Army.
On behalf of his loved ones and family, we honor
Joseph G. Kraswina, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps, Semper Fi.
On behalf of his family, we honor John M. Kotarba, U.S. Marine Corps.
On behalf of his family, we'd like to honor James J. Callbaum, U.S. Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege of reading the name of the last of our honorees for 2025, William J. Hines, United States Marine Corps.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 43 years at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, more than 400,000 items have been placed at the wall in tribute to all Vietnam veterans. The items range from moving handwritten notes to baby booties to a custom Harley-Davidson motorcycle. I would like to read one of those notes that has been left. And I quote, "Our young friends, yes, young friends, for in our hearts they will always be young. Full of love, that is youth, love of joy, love of country. You fought for your country and for its safety and for the freedom of others with straight courage. We love you for it. We honor you. And we have faith that, as he does all his sacred children, the Lord will bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace now and forevermore." The authors of this note was the 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome our bugler, U.S. Navy musician First Class Ethan Bartley, to play taps. We ask you to stand if you are able for the playing of taps. This concludes our ceremony today. We thank you for joining us. May God bless you and our veterans and the United States of America.